the animals, for the vegan movement. I'm sorry we were a little late. We're waiting for one of our guest speakers. He should be here any minute, but we're gonna start anyways. So today we have one hell of a lineup. Amazing, amazing guest speakers today. We're gonna start off first. We're gonna have to bypass right now James Cromwell, but we're gonna start with Alissa White-Gluz of Arch Enemy. And also we have Enma Hakansson from Australia with the collective Fashion Justice. We have Nicole Arciello from Horse Racing Wrongs. She fights, her and Patrick Mattuella, they fight to end the horse racing industry. The deadly horse industry. We also have Gaia's Eye, all the way from Toronto, Canada. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, and he's an amazing influencer. And last but not least, we have Entyce. Entyce is a lyricist. She doesn't apologize for anything she does, the way she speaks and fights for the animals. Unapologetic should be right next to her name. And of course, we also have Byrne from PETA. And we have also John Leonardo from the Humane Long Island. And I'm forgetting somebody. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our MC of the day. She is the Executive Director of NY Class. We have Adina Byrne-Krantz.
This is the highest stage I've ever been on. So it is my honor to introduce Alissa White-Gluz. She is a globally recognized metal singer and performer, best known for her work as the lead vocalist of the Swedish band Arch Enemy. Any fans here? Woo! With Alissa at the forefront, the band has achieved massive success and has become one of the biggest names in the metal genre. And that's amazing because Alissa is so dedicated to veganism and animal rights. She's been vegetarian since birth and vegan since the 90s. So we're gonna get a real treat here because we are going to debut one of Alissa's videos right behind me on the truck. When I get down, hopefully you'll all be able to see. Maybe those in the back come up a little. And this song and video actually premiered in the Real Fur film, if some of you have seen it. So I'm gonna let that show, and then Alissa's gonna come up and talk to you after. I'm gonna move this out of the way. All right.
I'm just trying to go live for our Horse Racing Wrongs social media. Thank you.
Are haunting me. If human eyes would only see beyond ourselves, what others felt, we'd soon forget our hierarchy. And this could be the song to save us all.
I can hold it. I'm used to that. Hey everyone, welcome to the Animal Liberation March 2023. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to put boots on the ground in defense of animals. Today, we celebrate a shared commitment to a cause that transcends culture, language, and borders, animal rights. And we are here because we realize that with the staggering number of animals exploited yearly, even just one animal's life and well-being matters. 88,000 animals have been killed on land since I began speaking to you. But even just one animal matters. My name is Alissa White-Gluz, and thank you so much for being here today. I'm a professional metal singer, and I perform across the globe hundreds of shows per year with my band Arch Enemy. Thank you. There are not many women in metal, so I am one of the few, and as a result, I experience the music industry in an exceptionally nuanced way. I am face to face with thousands of new people every day while I'm on tour, so even though my job is to entertain, my work has me constantly dissecting societal norms, analyzing the ebb and flow of interpersonal relationships, and examining the human psyche. So I want to share with you a few things I've noticed. First off, how many of you are vegan? That is beautiful. Well, as vegans, we are sworn witnesses to some of the worst atrocities humankind can commit, and it can be overwhelming. So today is the day to let all of that out. I hope it will be as cathartic for you as it is important for animals. I am what would now be referred to as an OG vegan, and although I regularly get told to shut up about it, I have never and will never be quiet about animal rights. I was lucky enough to be raised in a vegetarian household. Thank you, Mom. And so I was never forced to eat meat, and I've now been vegan for almost 25 years. Much like the music industry, the food industry is wrought with corruption, and it's hyper-dependent on consumer interest. Both can feel hopeless sometimes. 350,000 animals have been killed since I began speaking. Nevertheless, it's inspiring to see how far we've come as the vegan movement gains momentum. Each of us contributes to a ripple effect that extends far beyond our inner circles, as evidenced every time a company drops fur, stops testing on animals, or creates a plant-based alternative, for example. And you know what? Listen to this. Behavioral scientists at Rethink Priorities just conducted a study on what influences people to go vegan. You know what was found to be the most effective influence? Animal interaction. Pets, non-pets, farmed animals, hanging out with animals is the main reason people go vegan. So people are already vegan in their beliefs. If your instinct is to help animals, you're normal. So why is it that when we honor that instinct with our food and fashion choices, we are considered not normal? I'd also like to highlight the other highest ranked form of activism, personal conversation. It's working. Don't stop. Global dairy consumption is trending downward, but there are also some troubling recent statistics. A Gallup poll showed that the number of vegans in the USA has dropped by 2% over the past 5 years. By 2050, the UN FAO predicts that the global consumption of animal products will be at 166% of what it was a decade ago. Why? Is the trendiness of oat milk responsible for a downturn in dairy demand? Or is the cause more along the lines of the prevalence of lactose intolerance? Are viral YouTubers dishing out dangerous dietary advice responsible for proliferating the carnivore diet? Or is meat consumption increasing because beef is still in bed with the government? The US government does give $38 billion taxpayer dollars to meat and dairy every year, but only 17 million, that's 0.04%, to fruits and veggies. I know, that's very frustrating. Meat is a very problematic, dangerous, unregulated luxury item. 700,000 animals have been killed for it since I began speaking to you.
The NIH suggests a multifactorial cause, that global meat consumption is influenced by growing prosperity and population, but also disease outbreaks, natural disasters, and shifting consumer interests. So why am I saying all of this to you, to a group of vegans? You already know all the reasons for veganism, all the arguments against it that we've been effectively countering for decades. Look, I have a unique perspective of someone who has been physically seeking out vegan communities in 5 continents since the 90s. I have a fantastic fan base spanning many cultures and age groups, and I'm extremely thankful for that. But they follow my work because they enjoy my music, not necessarily because they're interested in veganism. So as a result, I've become really tuned in to how people react to veganism in different ways. People can be extremely defensive about food. It's in our nature. We grow deeply attached to and associate our food rituals with family, home, health, socializing, pleasure. As long as consumers dictate industry, consumers deserve to be informed and armed with the truth about their purchases. So we have to stay united in this cause. I've been seeing a lot of infighting recently, but we're all on the same team. What I really want is whatever is going to save the most amount of animals the fastest. There is no right way or wrong way to defend animals when 875,000 have been killed on land since I began speaking to you. To those of you who are not yet vegan, we extend a warm invitation to you. Our strength lies in our proficiency in building bridges rather than walls. We bring a diverse set of skills and excel in various career paths, and that enables us to tackle animal abuse from all angles. There are moments of exhaustion, of questioning whether our efforts are making a difference, but we are part of a marathon, not a sprint. And today we can all connect with like-minded people and celebrate small victories and recharge. So for everything you bring to this movement, I thank you, the planet thanks you, and the animals thank you. And since I began speaking, each of you are responsible for saving 990 gallons of water, 27 square feet of forest, 18 pounds of CO2, and 1 animal life. Now let's all let New York know that animals do have a voice, and it is loud!
Next up, we have Nicole Arciello. She is the Executive Director of Horse Racing Wrongs. Do you all know that organization? They're working to end deadly and cruel horse racing around the country. Give it up for Nicole.
I am so excited to be here today in New York City for the Animal Liberation March. Woo! New York City is the beating heart of this country. It's where passionate people hit the streets to make change and influence change across the world. I want to thank the organizers that worked so hard today to put this important event together. And I want to thank you all so much for coming here and bringing your voices like I know you do every day for the animals. You all give me hope that we will reach that ultimate goal of total animal liberation. A few years ago, I attended my very first animal rights march right here in New York City. And when we unrolled the Horse Racing Kills Horses banner, people came out of nowhere to take pictures and video. It was crazy. But then I realized what was happening. The horses used and abused and killed for entertainment and gambling. Horses who over 150 years suffered in silence and died unnoticed. Horses that I was dedicating my vegan life to saving. now had a place in the animal rights world and at this important event. The so-called racehorse was showcased one day a year on national television with fancy hats and mint juleps and parties across the country. But the reality for those horses was hidden far too long. Horses in the racing industry are pushed beyond their limits from the tender age of 18 months, and they are raced at 2 years old. We see in necropsies horses 4, 3, and even 2 years old dying with chronic conditions like osteoarthritis and degenerative joint disease. They are confined, isolated, and alone in tiny 12 by 12 stalls for over 23 hours a day. And they are sold over and over again, changing hands from trainers to barns to tracks and across state lines, adding more stress to an already stressful existence. And every moment of their lives is controlled with cribbing collars, lip chains, tongue ties, eye blinders, mouth bits, and whips. And these horses are not even afforded protections from animal rights statutes, meaning an owner or trainer can run their horse into the ground, even to death, with virtual impunity. At Horse Racing Wrongs, we have documented almost 10,000 kills on our website since 2014. And we estimate that 2,000 horses die every year at US tracks. That's about 6 dead horses a day for gambling and entertainment. We're booing horse racing, right guys? Thank you. This death is also often described as humane euthanasia, but it's not tranquil and it's not peaceful. It's cardiovascular collapse, pulmonary hemorrhage, blunt force head trauma, broken necks, severed spines, shattered legs, and death also comes back in the stalls with things like colic, laminitis, and respiratory infections. Or sometimes the necropsy simply reads, "Found dead in the morning." And all of this, even if we don't watch, attend, or bet, our tax dollars prop up this industry to keep it going. Here in New York State, the horse racing industry receives $230 million a year in subsidies, taxpayer subsidies. But because of you, I'm going to give you something to cheer about. We are making progress. We have protests across the country, and so many of our Horse Racing Wrong team members are here, and I've seen you at those protests. And right now there is a bill in New York State to redirect the horse racing subsidies to where it belongs, to education and community groups. And also right now on Governor Hochul's desk there is a bill that will stop the transport of horses to slaughter in New York State. So I preach to the choir today to educate and invigorate, to let the horses' voices be heard today, along with all the other animals, the cows, the chickens, the pigs, the dogs, the foxes, all of the animals exploited for human gain as we march to spread the word across New York City and across the world. It all works together. As a vegan for 14 years and an activist for the same amount of time, I realized that our horse racing protest brought the awareness of one species to the hearts and mind of people, but it also brought that ultimate goal of veganism. When I looked around me, I realized that so many of these people who were angered by the death of horses, who came out of their comfort zone to stand and speak up for them, weren't vegan when they started, but they're vegan now. They made that connection that species to species, we are all the same, that no animal deserves to suffer for human gain, whether it be entertainment, clothing, research, or food. Sometimes it feels like we're fighting a war, and we are sometimes, with those cruel and wealthy industries that fight us every step of the way. but we are waking up compassion and we are inspiring kindness. When we open our hearts, love pours out. And that's what we are doing here today. We are inspiring others and we're fueling this movement. So today, I hope we encourage more of our own to be active and join us in events like this. And I hope we inspire millions of people everywhere to open their hearts and go vegan for the animals.
Hi everyone. It is so incredible to be here today and to see everyone out here today standing up for animal rights. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. A year ago yesterday, the last dogs were removed from a breeding hellhole in Virginia owned by a company called Envigo. And a lot of you might know about this already, but for those of you who don't, Envigo is a company that breeds animals to be sold and used for experimentation in laboratories. They had a massive breeding facility in Virginia that had been breeding dogs for over 50 years and selling them to be used in gruesome, cruel, violent experiments. A PETA undercover investigator spent 7 months documenting the conditions inside this facility. There were sick and dead and dying puppies crammed into tiny cages with no enrichment, no medical care. They would starve nursing mothers, which is illegal, but they would do it anyway and then lie to USDA investigators. They were breaking laws left and right, but nothing ever happened to actually impact them enough to cause them to change their behavior. And so finally a PETA investigator went in and documented this for 7 months, and the results of that investigation ultimately led to almost 4,000 beagles being removed from this facility and the facility being shut down. And yesterday, PETA posted a video of what that place looks like now. It's covered in weeds. It's overgrown. It's empty. It remains shut down. But this morning when I was getting ready to come here, I was thinking back to what it must have been like for that investigator to get up every morning and go into this hellhole and see thousands of suffering dogs. Just the day-to-day despair of seeing this, documenting it, not being able to help or do anything that would expose their real agenda. And the fact that they didn't know what was going to come of this footage that they were taking. They didn't know what would come of this investigation. They didn't know that it would turn into a historical rescue of all these dogs, that it would inspire legislators, senators, congresspeople to write and demand that this facility be closed down, that it would result in a judge ordering that all these dogs be removed. They didn't know that. They just had to go back day after day and see this misery and do the best that they felt they could do to document it, to address it, to hope that they would bring about some results. And it made me think of us as a movement and the fact that it can be so hard to be an activist. We see things, we hear things, we know things that the rest of the world doesn't want to acknowledge, doesn't even want to look at.
Yes, preach it.
And we're constantly trying to bring that into the public eye to get people to change. People burn out, people, just feel alone. And it's so important to realize that we're not alone in this. And that's the importance of days like today, that we're coming together, seeing each other face to face. We know that we're not alone. We know that we're making history. And we can celebrate these victories. And we really do have so many victories. It feels slow in the moment, but no civil rights movement that has made incredible progress has ever done so overnight. And we're a relatively young movement. And so today, take this as an opportunity to stand together, to be inspired, and to know that even the setbacks that we're having these days actually show that we're winning. Yes! Ag gag laws mean that we're winning. Meat industry campaigns to say that being vegan is over and you know, nobody wants to eat plant-based, those are very strategic. That means we're winning. Because a few decades ago, these industries just ignored us. And now they can't, because they see that people's hearts and minds are on our sides, and we're bringing their behavior over to our sides, or to our side. And so today, celebrate everything we've accomplished and everything we will accomplish. And know that as long as we keep fighting, as long as we never let them turn us against each other or cause us to give up, we will win. So thank you all for everything you do every day and for being here today and being part of history. And know that every day that you are part of the animal rights movement, you're making history. Thank you.
So next up is James Cromwell. So this man is an award-winning actor who is a champion of progressive causes, especially animal rights, which we love him for. He became a vegetarian in 1974 after seeing a stockyard in Texas and experiencing the smell, terror, and anxiety. He became vegan while playing the character of Farmer Hoggett in the 1995 film Babe. We've all seen that one, right? So he's frequently speaks out on behalf of Animals for PETA, and in 2017 he was arrested during a PETA protest at SeaWorld. So let's all give the warmest welcome to James Cromwell.
What a great crowd. Thank you all so much for showing up for this. It's PETA always does the best things. So what the hell are we doing to this planet? I mean, here we are in 2023. Half the world is on fire. The other half is underwater, people drowning. The aquifers are drying up. The desert is increasing. We are in wretched shape because we are not taking responsibility for what we do. And I'm including everybody, even us, even me, because it's in our culture and it's very, very difficult to extricate ourselves. We can show up, we can protest, but still, how many here are, and bless your hearts if you are, how many here are vegans? Yeah! That's great. Now, I have a feeling if you ask the people who were passing by, you'd get just the opposite response. That's because they don't make the connection between veganism, what you eat, and what you get out of what you eat, which is the mess that we're in. We're here to stop, or to implore Adidas to stop killing kangaroos to make running shoes. I worked in Australia, South Australia, and when you drive through that part of Australia, which is mostly desert, there are literally 1 or 2 kangaroos by the side of the road for hundreds of miles. Why? Because they don't throw themselves in front of the cars or the trucks. They come because people throw their garbage out with their sandwiches and whatever, and the animals come to eat it. Now, to the Australians, to many Australians, it really doesn't matter much because they consider the kangaroo a pest, which is really interesting because that's how it starts. When you have speciesism and you put yourself as a species above other species, above the interests of this planet, which has interests, which has a destiny. When you start doing that, you tend to diminish the person that you're oppressing. So they call the kangaroos pests. We call the people at the southern border pests or criminals. We fight wars because somebody has a different point of view. The problem is in our culture. Our culture has been inculcated since it began with this idea that we are separate from each other. That really power resides with the leaders, the powerful, and that we simply have to follow. Now, in this day and age, because of the communication we have available to us, we are beginning to understand, no, the power resides with us. It's what we do, but more importantly, who we are. First, to be what we want to be, what we hope to be, which are guardians of this earth, guardians of the creatures on the earth. And out of that becomes the doing what we're doing here today, doing what many are doing all over the world, and then having those things that come out of those doings, which is a more perfect world, which serves all of us and doesn't exclude people because we consider them pests or useless or superfluous. I watch a lot of websites and I listen to Democracy Now! And there are always these incredible activists on there, intellectuals, talking about a problem that exists in this country and what we can do to solve it. And I always hear the solutions that they offer, and it always involves, well, we have to protest, we have to do civil disobedience. God bless the people who do civil disobedience, because that is incredible action. The wonderful, wonderful woman who climbed to the top of the tower in Minnesota to protect the water. That's what needs to be done. But in order to do that, most of the people here, the people not in front of me, but the people out here, have to change their minds. We need a paradigm shift. That means looking into your soul and finding out who you are and what you want for this world and what you want for everybody else in this world and what you want for your children and the generations, as the Indians say, for the next 7 generations. Take responsibility for your actions. We have to take responsibility for every action that we do, because where we're standing is very precarious. If we do not come to some solution, and the solution can only come from having a clear idea of who you are and what you want, and then putting that intention into action, putting your intention putting it on to your attention. So I know all of you have heard this before. I've heard this before. We have to do more. We have to do it quickly. We have to be courageous. We have to confront authority. We have to resist. We have to be examples in our life at every moment. We have to pass it on. We have to pass on the knowledge of what it is to be a vegan and to love life and to love the creatures of this earth and this planet. And then we have to transfer that to people who don't agree. And I gotta say just one last thing. So I thought it was really interesting that people that I disagree with got on a stage called the Vice Presidential Debate. And when asked whether they thought human beings were responsible for climate change, raise your hands. Nobody raised their hands. They don't see their responsibility. We see our responsibility, which is why we're here. We have to talk to those people. We have to talk from a position of power. We have to find solutions that are possible but are effective. And when we do that, we will win. Power to the people. God bless.
Wow is all I can say. Wow. So next up, speaking of Australia, we have someone who came all the way from Australia to be here, Enma Hakansson. Woo! She's the founding director of Collective Fashion Justice, a charity dedicated to creating a total ethics fashion system for people, our fellow animals, and the planet. She's the author of Total Ethics Fashion and has lectured on ethics and sustainability in fashion across the globe. All the way here from Australia, welcome, Enma.
Before I begin, I want to acknowledge the Lenape people whose violently stolen land we stand on. I want to highlight the reality of colonization as a key driver behind the depths of speciesism that our fellow animals fall victim to and struggle through every day. I want to say thank you for having me here today. I'm so grateful to speak to you all and to stand beside you all and all of my fellow animals. I speak a lot about our fellow animals because it is critical that we do not forget that we all are animals. Us humans, Homo sapiens, we are not so different from the magnificently diverse array of other animal species that we share this earth with. We are different, but we are equal. Remembering that we're animals is a powerful way to feel solidarity with those of other species and to break down the wall between us and them. We live in a society full of us and them dichotomies, those of racism, sexism, classism, and speciesism. All of these are forms of oppression. All of these forms of oppression, the discrimination that comes from them, are at their core the same. A denied right to safety, to freedom, to life as an individual, not existence as a commodity. So let's talk about it from a fashion perspective. This is a short part of my new book, Total Ethics Fashion. We've been culturally conditioned to view some species as more worthy of moral consideration, similarly to the way in which we're conditioned to feel the same way about some genders, some races. It's not a coincidence that most of the women who are exploited to make our clothes are people of colour. The decision to offer one gender, race, or species more safety than another is totally arbitrary, but it is the way our fashion system is. It is the way our entire system is. Exploitation exported to poorer, darker-skinned nations, women bearing the brunt of fashion's human pain, and of course, animals so abstracted through their exploitation that we don't really see them at all. As a society, we more easily justify wearing the skins of certain animals because we've inherited a system designed to allow us to do so. This is true through language. It's why fashion's advertisements so effectively greenwash and ethics wash profitable harm and violence. Language allows for cognitive dissonance and for distance. Distance from things like who made our clothes, from the reality of leather as skin, and from how we actually believe others should be treated on this planet. If we didn't allow for this distance, as a general human population, we would not all still be buying and selling clothes that we would hate to see produced. This distance is why so many of us humans pull up calfskin boots and we don't think about who bathed the skin in chromium, who held the knife, or what that person saw when that skin was pulled off the hot, wet carcass of a young calf who was sawn open after. We're encouraged to think of the glossy advertisements of the pretty model wearing those leather shoes. And it is by design that so many people cannot even begin to imagine what that calf's death looked like, what it smelled like, what it sounded like. Cows can sense distress through smell, and they do so in slaughterhouses full of nervous urine, dripping red knives, and wide-eyed, panicked animals. In slaughterhouses, they fight to live, they maintain their freedom, and they fight for it just as we would if we were in their place. But the fashion industry doesn't like to talk about this. It doesn't like to acknowledge any of this as an issue to overcome, and it certainly doesn't want to acknowledge its responsibility in it. And that's where we come in, all of us. Our role as activists is to eliminate this distance and dissonance. It is to highlight the suffering and oppression of our fellow animals that we know to be an unignorable injustice. to encourage others to join us and build a more just world, to push when we need to push, to envision what a global community could be like if we really did put all life, all species, and the planet we share before profit and further production. So today, and every day, let us hold our fellow animals in our hearts. Let us not forget the mink in the fur industry cage, the crocodile in yet another cage for supposedly luxurious skin sales, the kangaroo from the place I live, shot down in their natural habitat for football boots. They are the victims of the largest land-dwelling wildlife slaughter on this earth. The calf taken from his mother only to become a bag, the young lamb whose tail is cut off, her wool worn by someone else while she shivers, the duck who is packed tightly in a factory farm, their feathers soon to fill someone's coat. When we fight for them, we fight for us all. The life and well-being of us people, our fellow animals and the planet is inextricably linked. It cannot be disconnected. We are all a part of nature. We cannot protect some of us and not all of us. We cannot hurt some of us and not expect for the rest of us to also be hurt. Because we are all animals and we all deserve autonomy. We all deserve our freedom and we all deserve our lives. Thank you.
Gaia's Eye. Gaia's Eye is a lyricist and singer, and his animal rights dedicated company Brain Food is working to spark a revolution in the vegan food industry. So this is exciting because Gaia's Eye is not only performing a song for us, he's gonna be filming a live video that you all are gonna be in. So, woo! All right, next up, Gaia's Eye.
Can I take this off stage? I feel like it's Carmen Sandiego. I used to be a New Yorker. Thank you for welcoming me back. Once a New Yorker, New York for life, yeah? So people often accuse vegans of, quote, forcing our ideas down people's throats, when literally all they just did was read some words or look at a video in their phone. Like, oh, huh. I think I'm the real victim here, people. Mother, you came to our comment sections. Nobody is forcing you to do anything. All we're trying to do is to stop literal knives from being forced into literal animals' throats. All we're trying to do is to get people to recognize the fact that animals are not inanimate objects who deserve to be treated worse than serial killers, even when they're completely innocent. But that animals are sentient beings just like us, who deserve rights and protections as such. And it's not that vegans are trying to take over the world. Not for real. All we're doing is using our freedom of speech to fight for and defend those who cannot defend themselves until their rights and freedoms are enshrined into law. So before I kick off the music, what do you think about us warming up our voices together? Yeah? So when I say animal, you say rights. Animal. Animal. Rights. When I say animal, you say rights. Animal. Rights. Animal. Rights. Hey, yo, DJ, we can drop that beat. Yeah, how we doing, New York City? They say we running out of time, better make a switch. Planet Earth is on fire, getting dangerous. Feel like we racing to a cliff through a great abyss. Maybe these aliens can help. Should we make a wish? Cause shit, your humanity is napping like we all are. Siesta, we could still be damned if every car was a Tesla. There's just too much damage saturated in this bubble. And now that the trees are burning, bro, trouble's about to double up. So how the fuck we gonna deal with this? Empirical, look at this apocalypse and make our own miracle. Only got one last hope, start a rebirth. And it's called the rainforest, yeah, the heart of this earth. Getting charred, getting burned, make them barbecues turn. Gas chambers to the slaughter like my grandfather learned. Say you conscious concern, spread all that's the word. You slitting animals' throat, but never use the wrong word. And you ain't talking, I'm caught, and if we can stop the pretending, you just stayed an innocent baby, yeah, you not against oppression. Point the finger all you want, CEOs and presidents, the billionaires got billions, cause you giving them your Benjamin. So please vote better, it's an evil way. That's once every 4 years, read 3 times a day. Say let's march on the White House, it is not time to wait. You put your money where your mouth is, start with your plate. Thank you. All right, before I bounce, let me ask you a quick question. Is it just me, or is it that every time we speak up for animals these days, it seems like the trolls will immediately creep in with the same copy and paste comments like, oh, you stupid vegans, you think you're really saving animals? Oh, don't you know how many mice, how many birds, how many bugs get crushed under the tractor just for your damn soybeans? In fact, vegans kill more animals than meat eaters. Let's set the record straight. The animals that people eat plants. That's why it takes 20 times as much land to get a gram of protein out of a cow's corpse versus just going straight to the plant-based source. 20 times more accidental crop deaths on top of the grass puppy that you are intentionally slaughtering. And so-called grass-fed, free-range animal body parts are even worse for the earth. That's because there's so much less energy in grass than there is in the high-protein plant foods that they give to caged farm animals. High-protein foods that we could be eating, but that are instead being used to fatten up tens of billions of animals slaughtered every year, to be consumed by privileged people who will then turn around and say, veganism is too expensive for me. Even though we know for a fact that plant-based protein sources are astronomically cheaper than eating dead animals. And that connection is not a coincidence, because wasting that much land and crops drives up the cost. And that's why 8 million of the most legitimately underprivileged, extremely impoverished human beings die from starvation every single year. And that's the wasteful process involving factory farming, and grass-fed is even worse than that. And that, my friends, is why grass-fed, free-range cancer burgers are the #1 reason that the Earth's right and left lung, aka the Congo and Amazon rainforests, are being burnt to the ground as we speak. Globally, animal consumption is the #1 cause of habitat destruction, mass extinction, and is responsible for more greenhouse gases than every car, truck, plane, train, and ship in the world combined. But just to leave you on a positive note, if the human race were to come to our senses and humans started acting humane, and like will.i.am said, founder of the V-Gang, just be nice, it would free up 75% of all the space currently being taken up by the human race. That's a land area equivalent to the entire United States and China and the European Union and the continent of Australia combined. Allowing that much land to regenerate into nature would obviously create enormous amounts of habitat for wild animals come back from the brink of extinction, and would lower greenhouse gas levels back down to pre-industrial levels and take us back from the precipice of apocalypse on which we are currently standing. So thank you for being on the right side of history. Let's do this. And can we all give will.i.am a shout out and say, "Feet gang"? Thank you.
So if we go back a few years ago, this sign had 0 crosses, X's on it. And now look at this. We have Canada Goose. We have Montclair. We have Yves Saint Laurent. Miu Miu, Prada, Dolce Gabbana. D-Square and Karl Lagerfeld. They've all gone for free. Now we have the next contender, Louis Vuitton. And we're gonna take down that giant, just like I said last year. We're gonna go down there to Soho, take over Green Street, and give them a spanking of their life again. The NYPD has blocked off the streets for us. So thank you, NYPD. And now the truck is also going to be inside in front of Louis Vuitton to vilify them for the animal killers that they are. So I'm going to ask you one thing. Once we get into Soho and we get to Green Street, please do not stay in the crossway. We have the whole street, Green Street, from Spring and Prince. For everybody's safety, please, let's just march together and let's have a great effing time today for the animals.
So next up, we're gonna have John D. Leonardo, but first we are showing a video, a PETA video about Tokitae, AKA Lolita. And
Thank you. My name is John D. Leonardo. Thanks. I'm the Executive Director of Humane Long Island, an anthrozoologist, and the former Senior Manager of PETA's Animals and Entertainment campaign. Abducted from her family when she was only 4 years young, Tokitae, as she was known by her relatives in the Lumi Nation, and Lolita, as she was known by her captors, was torn out of the ocean in 1970 during the largest capture of free-roaming orcas in history. Hunters used speedboats, airplanes, and explosives to corral the entire southern resident orca community into a narrow cove. 4 drowned, and 7 youngsters were abducted from their families and sold to aquariums around the world. For the next more than 50 years, Lolita saw nothing but concrete and cheering children who would have cried if they knew her reality. For the first decade, she shared her tank with an orca named Hugo. However, Hugo protested so robustly against his captors that he killed himself, ramming the walls of their tank 43 years ago. Toki was without same-species companionship ever since. Activists like you and I urged the Miami Seaquarium to end Toki's hellish life in a concrete cell and release her to a seaside sanctuary where she could dive deeply, feel the ocean's currents, and even be reunited with the orca believed to be her mother. And for the last few months, this plan was almost realized. However, sanctuary came too late, and on August 18th, 2023, Toki died after more than half a century in the smallest orca tank in the world. Normally, this is the time one would call for a moment of silence. However, as activists, we should never be silent. Thank you. Yeah, let's hear it. Toki's suffering is over. However, the suffering of Corky, an orca who has been imprisoned for even longer at SeaWorld, continues. So does the suffering of sloths, kangaroos, and other wild animals imprisoned only an hour away from here on Long Island, and at Sequest, right across the water in New Jersey. Countless farmed animals are being slaughtered right now at New York City's more than 80 live slaughter markets. And there are more than 200 horses enslaved in the New York City horse-drawn carriage industry. With the closure of Ringling Brothers and Byrne and Bailey Circus after 146 years, the Iditarod dog sled race slashing its purse by $500,000, and SeaWorld announcing the end of its sordid orca breeding program and its circus-style dolphin shows, we know change is possible. We defeated Sequest on Long Island. We defeated them in Fort Lauderdale, and just last month across the water in Connecticut, we closed them down too. Every year, Rachel and I rescue a dozen or more ducks, chickens, turkeys, and more at live slaughter markets without giving them a dime. And you guys can do this too. Signing petitions and posting on social media is good, but it's not enough. Attending this march once a year is great, but again, it's not enough. And even being vegan, which saves 200 animals a year, is not enough. We need strategic actions with attendance like this consistently, every day around the world. We need you guys to be activists. We need more vegan activists, not more plant-based eaters. In memory of Toki, I am urging you to seize the momentum that came with her death, to save other animals from suffering the same fate. Join Humane Long Island, join PETA, join Rachel, not just at today's march, but throughout the year, and take power in Margaret Mead's words, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you.
My name is Donnie Moss. I'm an animal rights campaigner here in New York City, and I make videos for theirturn.net. First of all, I just want to thank Rachel Levy, please take a bow, who has worked so hard to produce this logistically complicated and time-consuming event. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. Before we cross Houston Street and head into Soho to protest the last remaining luxury retails that have the nerve to continue selling fur, we are we are going to the Adidas store where we are going to demand that the Adidas stop paying commercial hunters to chase down terrified kangaroos in the dark of night and slaughtering them and their babies to steal their skin to make soccer cleats. We are here in solidarity today with the Center for a Humane Economy, which is running the global campaign, Kangaroos Are Not Shoes. We are here in solidarity with the Animal Justice Party in Australia, which is working in the halls of Parliament to protect those kangaroos and all other animals in Australia who are being exploited and killed. And we are here protesting with animal rights activists in Australia, Europe, Adidas is based in Germany, and here in the United States, who are demanding that Adidas join Nike and Puma in making the switch to cruelty-free alternatives. If Nike and Puma can do it, Adidas can do it. I want to do two quick chants. I'm going to say, kangaroos are not shoes, and you're going to say boycott Adidas. We're going to do it a couple times. And do me a favor, pump your fist in the air. I want Adidas to see this video. Kangaroos are not shoes.
Kangaroos are shoes.
Kangaroos are not shoes.
Boycott Adidas.
Kangaroos are not shoes.
Boycott Adidas.
One more. I'm going to say massacres we don't condone, and you're going to say leave the kangaroos alone. Massacres we don't condone.
Leave the kangaroos alone.
Massacres we don't condone.
Leave the kangaroos alone.
Massacres we don't condone.
Leave the kangaroos alone.
And I'll leave you with this. On Thursday, 3 animal rights activists in California who had the gall to try to help animals languishing in factory farms, sick and dying animals, are going to court for their crime of compassion. They're activists with Direct Action Everywhere, Wayne Shung and Cassie King and Priya Swani. They are going to court to demand a right to rescue animals from these houses of terror. So thank you to DXC. Thank you for being here.
Justices against non-human animals, and her motto is, until every animal is free, she will be rapping, fighting, and speaking for them. Entyce.
Oh man. This right here give you hope, man. In a world where you feel hopeless, you feel helpless, lost, angry, saddened, disappointed, discouraged. Being around so many like minds like this will give you hope. Because animal exploitation, it's everywhere. It's in everything. We see it, we hear it at the grocery store. You see people wearing individuals. Someone walks past you, you smell their fragrance. Was someone tested on and now dead for that? And right here in NYC, we see those babies pulling those carriages because New York City Council is sitting in silence while horses are being used like a household appliance, being treated like a vehicle. You're all in compliance to the oppression that they're in. Use your head like a stylist. NYC Council, use your head. Rest in peace, writer, Blackjack. Man. But we cannot let that discourage us activists. There are almost 8 billion people in this world. Almost 8 billion people exploit animals. It is going to take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get these babies to their liberation. That anger you feel, that sadness, that pain, use it. Use it. That fire, let it being lit inside you, exude it to the world. You never know what you can do on behalf of them. And the people who also that need us are the activists who come before us, come after us rather. We're laying down that foundation, planting those roots, planting those seeds for them, because when we're gone, they're gonna carry the torches after we're gone. And there are support systems out there,
reach out. I make a support post every single Saturday to give activists an uplift. You are not alone in this. You are not alone. So keep the animals as your focus. Reach out for support if you need to. Never stop fighting. Never. So this song is called Entertain Yourself. I wrote this for Disgusting Zoo and Aquarium Awareness Month last year. It's in June. Hopefully we can get that eradicated. But I want to dedicate this to Toki. She has been a driver, an influence in my activism over the last year, and losing her was soul crushing. I mean, all the losses they all suck, but for her, it was real deep for me. So I want to dedicate this to her. And if she uplifted you, if she motivated you, or even if you didn't know her, let's get loud for her. So when you hear Entertain Yourself, let's all join in that together. You'll know when to come in. DJ, you know what to do. You know? Okay. You start They said they want me to hold the microphone close. No more cages, no more tanks. They're not here for you no matter what you think. Come on, you know better than that. Entyce, so nice. Entertain yourself. No one's here to be a show for you. Those prison walls are slow to move. Their mind is dark like when you blow the fuse. Entertain yourself. End of the day, you get to go home. Their show never ends, they're all alone. Their rights are skipped like you throwing stones. Entertain yourself. What's the price tag to make you perform and put you where you don't belong? Enslave you and put you in the song. Entertain yourself. Do it all for yourself. Find fun for yourself. It's not their home, leave them alone and entertain yourself. They say it's education or conservation. With a price tag on your head, then it's exploitation. They're not trying to show their true colors like it's animation. Got a lot to lose, gotta hide the abuse, you're the one that pays them. How they doing tricks for them and then they call it saving? They're not in their natural life cause you got them caged in. Now they're silent, now they're violent. They rip your mouth, you wanna hear the crying. That's what happens when you confine them. Animal abuse is your assignment. In the state of New York, I shouldn't see a lion. Cage bars shouldn't be for climbing. Marine life in the ocean where they should be diving. Not through hoops and now they're whining. You wanna do right by them, then do what I say just like my name is Simon. No one's here to be a show for you. Those prison walls are slow to move. Their mind is dark up when you blow the fuse. Entertain yourself. You get to go home. Their show never ends, they're all alone. Their rights are skipped like you throwing stones. Entertain yourself. What's the price tag to make you perform and put you where you don't belong? Enslave you and put you in a song. Entertain yourself. Do it all for yourself. Find fun for yourself. It's not their home, leave them alone and entertain yourself. Do you still think that they're in this because they care for their interests? Well, they don't. Do they have names or just a blurb outside of the tanks and cages? No names. Are you waiting for them to perform, doing tricks on stages? They did that with human slaves, and now you follow those pages. Enslavement and animal abuse is how you spend your wages. Did you stop inside the food court and see whose corpse you're paying to be tortured and chopped up? But don't worry, they saved them. Only place that has their back and where animals don't turn to snacks is a sanctuary. There's no abuse to track. They rescue them, they protect them, and they don't expect anything back. They give them real care. Go visit one, it'll be a vegan starter pack. Entertain yourself. No one's here to be a show for you. Those prison walls are slow to move. Their mind is dark like when you blow the fuse. Entertain yourself. End of the day, you get to go home. Their show never ends, they're all alone. Their rights are skipped like you throwing stones. Entertain yourself. What's the price tag to make you perform and put you where you don't belong? Enslave you and put you in a song. Entertain yourself. Do it all for yourself. Find fun for yourself. It's not their home, leave them alone and entertain yourself. Rest in peace, Toki. Kiska. Oh, sorry that this world continues to fail. Each and every one of you. All animals of this world, we are so sorry that this world continues to fail each and every one of you. But you know what? You know who's not gonna fail you? You're looking at them. You're looking at them. Always for them. Always for them.